When Joe Biden delivers his first State of the Union later tonight, Russia and Ukraine will take center stage as Putin's forces bear down on Kyiv and target civilian areas in their latest attacks. It's a very different speech than the one Biden was originally planning to give, which was reportedly focused largely on his domestic agenda and his far-reaching Build Back Better bill, which includes proposals like free preschool, childcare subsidies, paid family leave, and an extension of the child tax credit expansion, all of which have been stalled thanks to Republicans and a couple of Democrats in the Senate, and all of which Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley is hoping to get back into the spotlight. To that end, she's invited as a virtual guest to tonight's speech Christina Morris. Christina is a mother of four, union carpenter from Hyde Park, who's here ahead of the event. We're also joined by Lindsay McCluskey. She's a senior strategist for Care That Works. It's a coalition of community groups that organize for greater access to childcare. It's good to meet you both. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Christina, 15 years a carpenter, odd hours. I know construction is odd hours, 4 kids. Through the years, how have you found accessible, affordable childcare, or have you?
I have not found any the traditional way, so I've had to rely heavily on my boyfriend's family, the paternal grandmother and aunt. So because our hours start at 7 or sometimes 6, so traditional childcare does not provide those type of hours. And that has been a struggle. My oldest is 11, so for the past 11 years, that's what we've had to do.
You know, Christina, I'm pretty sure I watched a video with you and the Congresswoman. Obviously, you were chosen because you were a beneficiary of this $300 a month per child tax credit thing that obviously is disappearing, assuming the Build Back Better never happens. What did that extra money mean to you in your life? How did it change things for you?
Well, it relieved a lot of stress as far as basic needs, groceries. It came in handy during the school year with buying their clothes and school supplies. Also came in handy around Christmas time. Also, if I had any emergencies, quick things I could fix right then and at that moment. So it was pretty beneficial. So just a little space reliever.
Yeah, it's more than a little. It was pretty significant money. Lindsay, I know that Christina works with you. What is Care That Works? I gave a sentence on it, but flesh it out a little bit for us, if you would.
Yeah, Care That Works is a coalition of unions and community organizations that have come together to confront the childcare crisis. And we were working together before the pandemic. Our work is even more relevant now. One of the projects that we've been working on is launching a pilot program that is intended to make childcare more accessible during the early hours, so that women like Christina and so many other women and families have access to childcare when they need it. We know that so many working families don't just work from 9 to 5, and that's typically when most childcare is available.
Well, I think we know how expensive childcare is in Massachusetts. I think we have the second highest costs in the nation. What's the status of the pilot program?
The pilot program's up and running for families who might be interested. If you work non-traditional hours or if you're interested in a career in construction, but childcare has been holding you back, you should visit our website. It's carethatworks.org. And we're just really excited to, we know there's many barriers to people pursuing the types of jobs that they want, particularly moms. But we're excited to be able to try to help eliminate one of those barriers, which we know is childcare. And it's we aren't able to solve all the problems at once, but hopefully if Build Back Better does pass, there'll also be some solutions about the affordability crisis.
Christina, not only when I've read about you, do you have to deal with, I think your kids are 3 to 11 years old, and the odd hours you do in a job that it sounds like you love and love for a long time. You had to take a voluntary layoff, from what I understand, during the pandemic, early phases of the pandemic, because you had to deal with remote learning for your kids. How'd you deal with that?
One day at a time. So yes, I had to take a layoff in September of 2020 for the remote learning. And that was pretty stressful, just to learn the educational platforms along with my children, learning all those platforms. And at the same time, trying to keep the 2 little ones busy and away from the 2 older ones. So So it's pretty stressful.
I can imagine. And, to get back to what I asked you before, Christina, you mentioned what you were able to do with the child tax credit that, again, for those who have not been paying attention, is about to disappear if the Senate doesn't act. What's the impact of the loss when it happens in your family and your ability?
Well, I think I most likely have to be a little bit more mindful on budgeting and maybe having to choose one thing over the other, as far as like maybe the children's extracurricular activities, keeping mindful when I go grocery shopping. It's a little bit more of a burden, I guess, or on my mind, things that I would not be able to do without it.
I understand that. Lindsay, back to what you're doing. I think the pilot program is great, but I assume you'd agree, at the end of the day, this is something that government has to take seriously. Pilot programs and expanded pilot programs are never going to fill the hole. I assume you agree with that?
That's right. I mean, what we really need is universal childcare and a really robust system of universal childcare that not only funds our current system, but actually goes beyond what our current system does and meets the real needs of families like Christina's and so many that, need not just what's currently available, but actually need even more. We need more hours covered. We need more resources available for families to offset the cost of childcare. And we need enough money in that system to make sure that childcare providers make a family sustaining wage.
Well, as Elizabeth Warren, I thought, beautifully called it, family infrastructure. When people think about traditional infrastructure, bridges and roads, this, as she says, is family infrastructure. Lindsay, I know that Mayor Wu, in the absence of federal action, has opened this Office of Early Childhood. Is that promising, or is that a ways off? I mean, I know the office is open.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great. And I think that, cities and state leaders all over the country should be doing what they can. And there's a lot that they can do. But really what we need is for Congress to act and to put into place a universal childcare system that meets all the needs of families and providers.
And by the way, we're not going to go into it tonight. We've discussed in the past. It would cap the amount of your income you spend on childcare. For some lower income families, they would fully subsidize it, assuming this Build Back Better would happen. Christina, on my radio show with Marjorie Egan, when the early days of Build Back Better, we naively said, well, now that half the families roughly in America have benefited from this child tax credit, there's no way that Congress is ever going to take it away. We just don't do that. We don't give something and then take it away. Were you under that same assumption when it started, that it was here to stay for you and your kids?
No, I figured it was temporary, or whatever the amount was that you get back during the taxes. I figured that's what it was going to be. I felt like it was a temporary relief. I did not think it was going to be permanent.
Well, it should have been permanent, and if Congresswoman Pressley has anything to do with it, it will be permanent. Christina, before you go, we're ignoring sort of the lead here. You're going to the State of the Union tonight, virtually, I should say. You as Ayanna Pressley's guest. Are you excited?
Yeah, it's very excited.
Are you really? I can't tell if you are or not. Are you?
Yes, I'm very excited and honored, and I'm just glad to share my story that so many other families have. I'm glad it's getting to this level, and everybody can hear it, and hopefully we can do something about it. Because I feel more women are trying to get into the construction or the trades, and this lack of, or the affordability of childcare and also the early hours is probably the number one reason why they will not be able to do it. So I'm glad that this is happening and being heard.
You're a great advocate for all those families and all those mothers. Christina, good to meet you. Have fun tonight. I don't know if fun's the right word. Enjoy tonight. Lindsay, it's good to meet you too. Thanks so much for your work.
Thanks so much, Jim.